He's back. Breakdown temporarily over, although meltdown still very much going on. Prince Harry taking the coin, being paid probably about $500,000 to make a surprise New York appearance, open up apparently about his journey from duty to purpose. But I've got to take you through this because you know we've been reporting on the fact that this guy is not well. He is vacant. He has lost any sense of who he really is. But the lines that he's now peddling are just pathetically dumb. So here's how people have sold this. Prince Harry made a special appearance at the Nexus Global Summit in New York City. The Duke of Sussex shared his journey of service, being born into a life of service, but moving from having to serve to wanting to serve. He also urged others to use their platforms for something greater than ourselves. I hope your wife was listening to that speech. I mean, seriously, how absolutely tone deaf can you be? Now, some folk are saying, oh, he's had a glow up, he's looking a bit better, he's dyed his hair, but I'm sorry. I want to show you these videos because here is a man who is not hiding his breakdown at all. Can we just think about this for a second? Like, here is the guy who at one point thought he was going to be changing the world, literally being introduced like a head of HR, turning up for a lunchtime meeting at a corporate with a whole load of people who've paid to be there and actually can't really be bothered. And then these are the types of gems that you get when you pay Prince Harry 500,000 buckaroos. So, the longer we are on planet Earth, the more experience we have. Thanks, Einstein. I mean, seriously. And then, of course, having used up every old trope that he possibly could, he turns back to the one that simply isn't true. Meghan Markle, my wife, being the most trolled human being in the world. And meanwhile, that most trolled woman in the world who has the biggest army of trolls actually doing her dirty work on a daily basis, including against Catherine, the King, and Camilla, and the late Queen, and me, and God knows who else. She doesn't seem too concerned about being trolled because, you know, we get Meghan on the beach. This is like the Tig Meghan. Because look at this. Back in 2016, and full credit to Meghan's mole for finding this, and they posted back in 2016, Meghan went on a trip to Tulum, Mexico, and shared several of the photos on Instagram and the Tig. In 2025, after leaving the royal family, Meghan Markle is back to her old antics and never evolves as a person, forever stuck and forever being basic. Brittany from the Royal News Network, so good to have you here. So Harry's back. No one cared. No buzz about him being in New York. No real tabloid interest. Didn't really say anything interesting. But Brittany, he looks like a man who is haunted by the failure of his own life. Am I being unfair?
I really don't think you are, because he has to be spiraling in many ways. Like, I don't know all the details of everything going behind the scenes, but because Harry, I think, is stuck in this sort of post-Mexit life, he's continually reacting to the things that did not go well in their initial Mexit announcement. He still wanted to be a part-time working royal. He was denied. He wanted security. He was denied. He wanted to travel around the Commonwealth. He was denied, basically shoved out and publicly told basically that, hey, we really don't need you anymore. And he's continually being in this cycle, I think, of not being able to get out of that horrible mistake that was Mexit. Whereas Meghan is, I think, wildly enjoying the freedom from the royal family. I think Harry is desperately missing the royal family, desperately missing his role, his purpose, and he's directionless. I mean, they pay him $500,000 to go up there and say basically nothing. And he barely graduated high school. Like, what soliloquies could this guy offer? Like, very, very few. He's not known for being bright. Of course, bright people didn't finish high school or had struggled with it. That's of course true as well. But he's not known for giving anything to the public really except for a smile and a handshake. And so at this point, he has no purpose or direction in life. He has no job. And he's basically just surviving off his wife's social media presence and failing business. And that's it. That's all he has got.
Oh, Brittany, but come on. I mean, there's words of wisdom like this, Brittany.
I mean, pearls of wisdom there, true pearls of wisdom. You know, the longer you live, the more experience you have. You know, like, what can you say? That's like sort of Captain Obvious. But again, $500,000 for his appearance, and that's the sort of thing that you get. But that's the sort of thing these
and he's not covering up the bald spot.
Deserve.
Brittany, the bald spot still is there. Everyone was saying to me this weekend, oh, no, he's gone away. Actually, what he was doing over the past couple of weeks was some form of, I'm not saying cosmetic surgery, Brittany, because we know that there's loads of non-invasive things that can be done in the US, right? Like, you probably know more about this. Not that you're not all natural personally, Brittany, but, you know, lots of Americans in Hollywood often disappear for a little while and they're either doing the hair transplant or the fillers or whatever. But I mean, I guess he looked marginally better, but I don't necessarily buy that is the reason that he's been out of the public spotlight. But the fact is, he has to go to New York because he has to make the money. And I felt like he just looked like a middle-aged advertising executive giving a speech to people who don't really care. And sure, they've got their phones out, but they've got their phones out because they want to say, oh, God, this is the guy who we've paid all of this money for. Like, what did we get out of this? Like, there's just no genuine excitement. Have you ever seen someone trample over their own personal brand more than Prince Harry?
No. And when he walked into that room, like, the applause was kind of tepid. It was like wasn't really enthusiastic. You weren't getting a bunch of screaming and hollering and whooping or anything like that. And it might have been obviously the crowd that was there, but at the same time, it's like if they're business professionals or what have you, it's like this guy doesn't have a business. This guy has no purpose talking to anyone about almost anything. And he's just basically a marionette. He's just there to share his talking points, mostly provided by his wife, and try to attempt to look like he's saving the world when literally he's just going over ground that's already been done before, and he can't offer anything new in the space whatsoever, except to say my wife was so trolled. You know, poor Meghan, who has her own troll squad that she activates all the time and loves to rile up. So it's like he's so deluded at this point. I mean, just on the basis of, I don't even think the guy has a connection with reality at this point. Why would you even listen to somebody who's so unconnected from the real world and can't even recognize, when he does an interview with the BBC, basically calling out his father, telling the world how horrible his father is for not getting him security, and then he's shocked that his father doesn't want to meet with him or speak with him. It's like, why would you even talk to this guy? He just has nothing, I think, worthwhile to say, share, or definitely no pearls of wisdom to give out.
Absolutely not. No pearls of wisdom whatsoever. And I mean, as Meghan's mole also pointed out about this, Prince Harry went from being a respected member of the royal family to making $125,000 to $250,000 a pot, so Meghan can continue pretending to be a businesswoman loser, which might sound tough, but I mean, there is something just quite awful about this, given the opportunity that he had. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes.
Exactly, because if you look at their initial post-Mexit signing the big deals with Netflix and Spotify, I mean, if they had played their cards right, they could have had this immense success. They could have been rolling in the money if they had really, could create decent creative projects. Harry could have started a podcast or something like that. But the two of them are so inept and so unqualified for what they're doing that basically he has to resort to shilling his name and getting empty money to go on. And so somebody can say, oh, we had Prince Harry there. That's the only job this guy can have. He has burned so many bridges. Him and his wife are not trusted by so many people, probably even within the industry. Like they'll subtly associate with them, but not too close because Harry and Meghan, of course, are more than willing to spill the dirty laundry when it suits them. And so, because of that, he has nothing else at this point except to go wherever the money is going to lead him. And that was always the danger of Netflix, is that if Harry and Meghan had nothing else, they would just always resort to betraying the royal family and shilling the names the Duke and Duchess of Sussex for money, which was not why they were given those titles. They were given those titles to be working members of the royal family. And given that they're not that, I mean, again, we should go down the path Charles should investigate, and so should William and Parliament, stripping the titles, because they are going to use those until the end of time in order to make money, because as they've proven, they have no talent to do anything else.
Brittany, what do you make of Meghan's return to Instagram? To a couple of moments over the weekend that I want to go through. I think this was all time to ensure that she didn't directly compete with the Jeff Bezos wedding, which I do want to come to in a little moment. She didn't directly compete, but she just reminded everyone she was still there. But this beach picture, clearly based on something she'd done on the TIG a decade beforehand, and sort of typically meaningless, like that weekend feeling. As we keep saying, this is very Pinterest. It's very much not authentic in any way.
No, and it's highly boring. Like I saw the pictures because I follow her just for business purposes and journalistic purposes and those sorts of things. And I'm like, can you do anything else? Like, seriously? I mean, at least the baby mama video, at least, I mean, it was horrible in so many ways, but at least it showed that she could get traction in one way or another. But this is boring, banal stuff. She has no original ideas. I mean, even the baby mama dance was copied from TikTok. She has no original thought whatsoever. And Megan's Mole is especially right there. All she can do is regurgitate the things she's done before. She did not evolve at all despite marrying into the royal family. She's still a basic Instagram influencer. That was always her level. She has proven that she doesn't have the class, the tact, the intelligence, I think, in some ways, to be a royal, to be quite honest, and definitely not the class, of course. She just cannot get there. She is just completely and utterly thriving in her mind on Instagram, when I really think half the followers are just hate following her. And she's not getting the traction that she used to get. And it's like, why even marry Harry in the first place? If you just wanted to be an Instagram influencer, you should have just done that the whole time, because that is her level, that is her passion, and that's what she wants to be. But of course, as well, because her pictures are all, I think, 10 years old on what's on the platform, it's all reels now. So it's like, she's really behind the times in so many ways. And her just boring little, weekend vibes and all the little weird word puns she does and stuff like that is just...
It's chuggy.
Bizarre.
It's so chuggy. Everything about it is so chuggy. And the other one this weekend was just as bad. She posted saying, weekend plans, pick, snack, repeat. And it's like, oh, cringe me out, cringe me out. But Princess Carparkle pointed out about those Instagram posts. I don't know about you, but I always wear $190,000 in bracelets, priceless heirlooms that cannot be replaced except for Trevor's Cartier bracelet. Like my dead mother-in-law's $150,000 bracelet and $22,000 plus Cartier tank watch when I'm pretending to pick fruit from trees in a yard, or gardening in my garden that I pay gardeners to tend, or when I'm pretending I know how to cook. I just wouldn't consider a 20-carat diamond tennis bracelet everyday jewelry, but I'm weird like that. She doesn't want you all to forget that she's got Diana's jewelry. Can you imagine Princess of Wales gardening in Diana's sapphires? So again, Brittany, I guess the point being here that we don't believe that these pictures are at all genuine.
No, you can 100% see these are completely fake and contrived. I think somebody else pointed out too, which is that she's picking seemingly, I think it's supposed to be an apricot tree or something, and somehow she found the only ripe one because all the others are out of season. They're still green. And so it's like she probably got one from the store and is pretending to pick it, which would be so Meghan. She's so completely fake. And in this modern era, really authenticity is key for your platform. You have to have this air of authenticity. And Meghan just has that chip missing. She just can't seem to do it because I think if she was her real self, none of us would like her. Like even more people wouldn't like her because she's not, in my opinion, based on what we've heard from her former staff members, all that great a person in many ways. And so she has to fake everything. And she is definitely not tending that garden fully. She has, I'm sure, whole slew of staff people. And I mean, it took her forever to even acknowledge that she has a nanny when we all know she had to have a nanny. There was just no way. But Meghan just wants to fake it all the time. She doesn't want to be real. Don't think she really cooks all that much. She even said multiple times, I use takeout and try to make it look pretty. So I think the real Meghan is not as at all interested in the products she's producing. And I don't think she uses any of them, hence why she never shows us her using any of her own products. And so it's like, why would anybody buy her stuff if she's not using it? It boggles the mind.
Yes, and of course, we know all of these pictures, Brittany, they're not taken by Harry. They're taken by her close photographer friend, Jake Rosenberg. Now, Megan Small pointed one other thing out this weekend, Brittany, which I thought was very interesting to look at going into her fury or their fury over not being invited to Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez's wedding. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle announced their engagement on November 2017. 8 years later, this is what they look like. Is this Meghan's idea of thriving? And of course, visually, yeah, that they're not looking great. And sometimes a picture does speak 1,000 words. And of course, Meghan's whole plan of moving to Montecito was to be part of that set, part of the Lauren Sanchez set. And to begin with, Brittany, it seemed to be going well. You remember Doria Ragland even posed up with Kris Jenner and Kim Kardashian at a Lauren Sanchez event in Hollywood. But when push came to shove, and when Lauren Sanchez had to make the decision about what celebrities to invite to her Vogue wedding in Venice, Harry and Meghan did not make the cut. And they did not make the cut, Brittany, because she's not stupid enough to pull down her very much developing brand by this couple. And to me, the fact that Harry and Meghan were not in Venice says so much about their acceptance amongst the set that they were so determined to be part of. I mean, I think both sets of people are absolutely horrendous, to be honest. And this wedding was very tacky in a lot of ways. But do you understand why this is such a blow to Meghan Markle, having to see all these people who she hoped to be a part of her life turning up when she was not there? Because, of course, Oprah Winfrey was there and Gayle King was there.
Meghan, when she came to Hollywood post-Brexit, I mean, she definitely had stars in her eyes. And she figured that with this royal title, she would finally achieve what she could not as an actress, which is success in the mainstream industry there in Los Angeles. Yet she had a bit part on Suits, but it wasn't a Oscar-winning role. She had no respect within the industry whatsoever. And so with this royal title in tow, I mean, I think that's the whole reason she married Harry, was for that title to sort of buy respect in Hollywood. But unfortunately, her and Harry have proven is that they're not a success story. And when it comes to the Hollywood elite, I would say much like some aspects of the aristocratic circles in the UK, your discretion matters, and Harry and Meghan have none. They are more than willing to throw his entire family under the bus for attention and money. And so if you are a Hollywood person and you're thinking, well, I got some skeletons in my closet, do you want to associate with Harry and Meghan? No. And not to mention the fact we also have the toxicity of their brand. At this point, Harry and Meghan are brand poison. And so as a actor or somebody rising within the entertainment industry or just even in the public sphere like Lauren Sanchez is, like the last person you want to associate with is Meghan Markle. Because what tends to happen is that once you're dragged into the Harry and Meghan chaos, that becomes what people talk about all the time. It's just best to keep your distance and stay just far away from Harry and Meghan as you can. That seems to be what most of Hollywood is doing, and rightly so. Harry and Meghan just don't seem to help anybody else's brand. They just drag theirs down with them.
We've also got a launch tomorrow, Brittany, a very grim launch, to be completely honest. I find it absolutely appalling that Meghan Markle has decided to plug her cheap plonk on the day, Brittany, the day of Princess Diana's birthday. Can we just remember for one moment that Princess Diana was killed by a drunk driver in Paris? But the Daily Mail has been investigating this over the weekend and specifically looking into the Californian winery where this wine was made. It's called Kundi Family Winery. And Meghan's mole said, looks like the wine is going to be a cheap, sugar-filled, hangover-causing dessert wine. And there is a lot of anger, Brittany. Harry, Meghan Spare posted, this wine launch is shameful. Promoting alcohol on the same day as Harry's late mother's birthday when she was killed by a drunk driver is heartless. Harry's been manipulated. She's framing it as a tribute to his mother, and he's too dumb to see through it. But this wine region is apparently quite close to Montecito, about 6 hours away, and it makes a whole load of celebrity wines, including Barry Manilow, the estate of the cowboy movie legend John Wayne, and even the hit Western television series Yellowstone. But of course, Meghan Markle is trying to spin this as, well, I picked it because it's so close to my home in Montecito, and this was my way of showing support after the wildfires. And a source close to her even told the Mail on Sunday she wanted to lean in and help a Californian business rebuild. So she's just so altruistic, isn't she, Brittany? Like, it's not about trying to make money at all. It's not about the fact that Brad Pitt's made $200 million from his wine brand or that George Clooney has made $1 billion from his tequila brand. She's just doing this, Brittany, because she wants to help a Californian business. Yeah, right. The Mail on Sunday also picked up what the wine is meant to be like, saying that it contains a blend of Cab Sauv, Cab Franc, and Petit Verdot grapes, with a source saying every time she has had friends over, she would test the different blends out on them and then give notes back to the expert winemaker that it needed more of this or less of that. This is a custom-made wine. I mean, who does she think she's kidding, Brittany? This is not a wine that she has produced on any level.
No. And we see this just reflected in Meghan's entire brand at this point. Everything's a licensing agreement, basically. She is licensing other people's products and consumptions or whatever and selling them as her own. So this whole idea that she has a business is a joke, because if she was truly, let's say, serious about having a wine, buy a winery, cultivate the wine, and then sell your wine, or cultivate the grapes, then sell your wine. That's how you actually go about this. But she is just basically farming everything out to separate businesses, which number one means she makes less on the back end because everybody has to be paid rather than her actually having an actual startup. And at the same point as well, yes, George Clooney and Brad Pitt have had immense successes, but they've also actually cultivated and made their products. Meghan Markle hasn't, and I doubt she's almost, although I would say that I think probably the wine is the thing she's most invested in, because I think that's the product that she's quote unquote made that she'll use the most. But Meghan definitely, this whole idea that she's this sort of wine connoisseur is a little bit ridiculous. And I don't understand. She made an entire brand, called it the TIG, around Tiganello wine. Why doesn't she just make wine like that? Why make rosé? And especially considering how Diana passed away, why in the world are you selling a wine on your mother-in-law's birthday who died in a drunk driving accident? Like, just the heartlessness there and the lack of tact in that situation is just absolutely insane, and just should be, Harry should see that as totally offensive, and that he doesn't is kind of horrible on him.
It's absolutely awful on him. Of course, there's going to be a lot that we find out tomorrow, Brittany, because like most of these Kunde wines are apparently pretty cheap. Like they tend to retail for about $25. Well, okay, let's see what Meghan Markle is charging for them.
Prince Harry surprised many observers by making an appearance at the Nexus Global Summit in New York City. During his speech, he spoke about moving from a life where service was expected to one where service became a personal choice. He encouraged attendees to use their influence for causes greater than themselves and reflected on lessons he has learned throughout his public life. Although the event positioned Harry as a keynote speaker, reactions online were mixed. Supporters praised his continued involvement in charitable causes, while critics questioned whether his message offered anything particularly new or insightful. His return immediately reignited debate over where his post-royal career is heading. Beyond the speech itself, much of the conversation centered on Harry's appearance. Some viewers suggested he looked more rested after spending time away from public engagements. Others focused on his body language, describing him as subdued or lacking the confidence that once defined him during his years as a senior working royal. Royal commentators offered different interpretations. Some argued that years of relentless media attention, legal disputes, and family tensions may naturally affect anyone's public demeanor. Others suggested Harry still appears to be searching for a clear identity outside the institution that shaped most of his adult life. As always, body language can be interpreted in many different ways, making firm conclusions difficult to draw. One of the most widely discussed moments came when Harry once again addressed online abuse directed toward Meghan Markle. He described the issue as one of the reasons he and Meghan became involved in campaigns promoting safer digital spaces, arguing that online harassment can have devastating consequences for individuals and families. The remarks immediately divided opinion. Supporters agreed that online abuse is a serious issue affecting many public figures. Critics, however, challenged some of Harry's characterizations, arguing that discussions surrounding online activity are often far more complex than presented during the interview. Regardless of differing views, the topic remains central to much of Harry and Meghan's advocacy work. The larger question is whether Prince Harry can successfully redefine his public image moving forward. He remains one of the world's most recognizable public figures, yet his reputation continues to divide audiences. Some believe his advocacy work, charitable efforts, and mental health campaigns will ultimately define his legacy. Others feel that ongoing public disputes involving the royal family continue to overshadow those achievements. For Harry, the challenge may not simply be staying in the public eye. It may be convincing audiences that his work has a clear long-term purpose beyond the controversies that have dominated recent years. Prince Harry's return to public life has once again sparked intense discussion across the media landscape. His speech about service, his comments regarding Meghan Markle's online experiences, and renewed scrutiny of his post-royal career have all generated strong reactions from supporters and critics alike. While opinions remain deeply divided, one thing is certain: every appearance by the Duke of Sussex continues to attract global attention. Whether this latest event marks a positive step forward or simply fuels further debate will depend on how Harry chooses to shape the next chapter of his public life.